Now, the passing of the marriage equality referendum made it possible for same-sex couples to be legally married, and since 2015, many couples have finally been able to have their relationship fully recognised by the state.
Yay! One couple who campaigned for same-sex marriage are former Catholic priest Bernárd Lynch from Ennis in County Clare and his long-term partner Billy Desmond, who only got married a few short weeks ago. Bernárd and Billy join us now to share their story. Guys, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
You should be off on honeymoon, not sitting here having the chats with us. Bernárd, can I come to you first to get your side of the story? Because people hear gay man, married man, Catholic priest, and you're thinking, how does that work? So can you tell us your story in being a priest and being devoted to your faith and also being a gay man?
Okay, I mean, that is rooted primarily in my work in New York City in the 80s around people with AIDS. And, you know, in that pandemic, it was a terrible time. People were diagnosed on a Wednesday and dead on a Sunday. And I was personally involved at various levels with 600 of these young gay men who died of AIDS, many of them Irish, although it's not said. And mothers I would pick up at Kennedy Airport, you know, wanting to know, was their son dying of the Rock Hudson disease? And that left an indelible mark on my soul. And I always had a sense, you know, without sounding pious, of social justice and the gospel. And here I was working with men dying who were condemned by their church for the disease they had. I mean, the Vatican statement was...
For who they were.
For who they were, but they also were blamed for having this disease. Their disease was the natural result of unnatural acts. And that infuriated me in every bone of the soul of my body. And I was gay myself, but I wasn't aware of it, of course. I mean, at some subliminal level, but I wasn't doing anything about it. I was very sexually repressed, et cetera, et cetera. Anyhow, to get to your question, I was forced out of the closet by my experience of such ignominious suffering and death. I said, I have to say who I am as part of my own ministry.
Now, Bernárd, you and I are the two oldest people in the room at the moment, and gosh. I'm old
Billy
enough.
And I will take that.
Well, no, but I'm old enough to remember that period, and I did the very first programme on AIDS in Ireland on national radio back in the 80s, when people knew nothing about it. And it's very hard now looking back, because it's only a very short period of time to realise just the depth of ignorance, but also the depth of fear. I had one gay friend, and as soon as it hit, people wouldn't share a cup with him. If he used a cup, they would, no. It wasn't just wash it and we'll use it. It was, that's never used by anybody again. That's the level of stupidity and ignorance that was going on. So for you to have that sort of Damascene moment and come out, I mean, people, it's considered to be the most natural thing in the world now. And why shouldn't you? And, you know, the whole nation defended your right to do that and express your love and have it legalised. But for you to do it back then, you were risking everything.
Yes, I mean... But the word courage lost meaning. I mean, I lost my closest priest friends to AIDS. Priests who taught me in seminary here in Ireland. And to see how they died in such despair as a result and consequence of what my church, their church, was saying. I cannot even put words to it.
How do you reconcile your love for God and your, what was at one stage very explicit love for the Catholic Church with who you are and how they treated people? Have you fallen out of love with the Catholic Church?
I don't reckon. There is no, you know, the Catholic Church, as far as gay people, lesbian women, etc., I mean, is the very antithesis of the God that I believe in and of the gospel of Christ.
But you still consider yourself a Catholic priest?
I do, but my priesthood, my priesthood as the church teaches comes from God. It doesn't come from the Catholic Church.
So you've separated it from the church.
Well, it may come through the church.
Okay.
I mean, I believe priesthood, like gayness, is a gift of God. You may be a priest, but the Catholic Church may not recognise.
No,
but
they're not keen on us women at all.
Bernard, you're still ordained. You haven't been laicized. You haven't been defrocked or excommunicated. So you are still a priest, yes?
Well, according to the church, once a priest, always a priest.
Yeah. But you just don't have an employer at the moment.
Well, from the time, of course, I said I was gay, that was the end of my...
Let's meet your husband.
Yeah, indeed. Billy, when did you meet Bernard first?
We met almost 24 years ago in London.
Wow.
At a mutual friend's party. So yeah, by chance.
Did you know anything about him or know his history?
I did. I remember when I was a teenager seeing Bernard on TV and around his work with men who are positive and dying of AIDS. And I was a teenager, aware of my sexuality and not out. I was in Ireland in the 80s, but being there with my parents and recognising for the first time that I wasn't alone. So it was quite a profound meeting in that regard. I had no idea I'd meet this man later.
How amazing you then ended up marrying each other,
So when I met him first, I was kind of struck by him, really, because I had this, of course...
Starstruck,
A little bit like, I had this idea of this kind of almost saviour, like who in some way enabled me to continue living in some way. I don't be grandiose about that, but it was a part of my living. It was some straw I had at that point in time. And then I saw you and I was struck by his beauty as well. So it was kind of a combination of both by this man and his beauty.
He robbed the rockers.
Can I ask a really simple, basic human question? Did you fancy him from the minute you saw him?
I did, yeah, I did. I think what for me was I fell madly in love. Not like from the moment, but I really fell in love with this man. And it took us a while.
And when you met, were you still a practicing Catholic priest?
No, I mean practicing. Yes, I still do priest stuff, but I couldn't work officially because I was honest. I was honest about my sexuality.
Well, you had the bravery to be honest.
The greatest sin in the Catholic Church is
Absolutely.
honesty. It's not. I mean, you don't tell the truth when it comes to sexuality.
No. Okay. Was it difficult getting the relationship together, getting it off the ground? You know, two people meet each other, they're attracted, they fancy each other, whatever, they kind of go, oh, yeah, there's a possibility here. And, you know, things happen kind of normally. Was it slightly different for you, or was it just the same as it would be for any other couple who were attracted to each other?
Well, Billy, was very brave. I was really...
Were you shy?
A pussycat.
Oh.
I mean, no, honestly, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, and then Billy was much younger, and I was after being through... devastating trial in New York and also the AIDS pandemic. So I was in no fit state for loving. I didn't trust anybody, least of all myself. I mean, Billy put up with more than, I don't want to embarrass him, than anyone could imagine in trying to love me. I mean, it took me 5 years. That is true.
To give in to the love and to accept
to recognize.
To recognise.
And I mean, it came to a breaking point when I told Billy he was wasting his time. You are young, you're attractive, you're intelligent, find someone your own age, find someone not as broken up as me, and you will be much happier.
But Billy wasn't going to let go.
When you said that to you, Billy, how did you feel? Did you go, ooh?
Well, it was, our relationship wasn't without its pain. Yeah. You know, I don't want to present this rose-tinted picture of our lives together at all. It's a very ordinary life, and we've been through many ups and downs, and a part of that was working through our difference, both of age, vocation and avocation, different life experiences. And also then I think what society around us was actually kind of in some ways telling us. So there was also that kind of charge and expectation around that was different to what we were feeling around each other. But I was really clear. I fell in love. I had these feelings for this man that I haven't had for other people I'd met in my life. I wanted to really attend to those in my own living. When I was struggling, my mum said to me, I remember clearly around the fire at home, I was saying, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. And she said, well, are you giving it a chance? If you don't struggle in this one, you'll have to work through that struggle somewhere else. And that was a kind of something I carried with me. So she was a real wisdom for me, and a point I may just get out. And I'm so glad we didn't.
I'm so glad you didn't.
The culmination of all of this, of course, was your wonderful wedding just a few short weeks ago.
Yes.
Well, I mean, all weddings are joyous, but it must have been an exceptionally wonderful day, guys. Did you ever think it would come to pass, actually?
Never.
Never.
Oh my
Growing up,
gosh!
no, wow,
I mean,
it's like I feel tearful now
I've
thinking
been
about it.
going to Lynch since I was a child, and I mean, I did dream about it as a boy,
you?
of course. Yeah, I mean.
But you always thought it would just be a dream, a figment of your imagination.
Like over the rainbow stuff. You know, really. I mean, I did want to hold my. I won't name him, he's still alive. He was at my wedding and he's married to a woman. But I always wanted to hold his hand and walk along the beach. But I was able to hold Billy's hand and walk along the beach. And that's a miracle, you know.
I'm almost crying now.
And thanks to the Irish people.
Yeah.
You know, Gorev Mila Margaret.
I'm struck by, because we obviously covered a lot of it, marriage equality, the referendum and the campaigns on both sides and all the rest of it. And I was struck by the youth and the energy and the beauty of the people on all sides, straight, gay, etc., etc. But there was always a question of, listen, this is ridiculous. It's a basic human right. It's not just we should have it. It's like a no-brainer. And then I look at a couple like you who have come from a period where it not alone was it a no-brainer, it was a crime, and that you were risking everything. Not just your job, your career, possibly your family, social pariahhood, all of that sort of stuff. And to come to this kind of happily married, can I say, middle-aged couple,
yes,
25 years under your belt. And I think of all those young people saying, this is ours by right. And then I look at what people like you have gone through, but now have. And I just wonder, God, we you know, the world isn't a great place sometimes.
We've done
but sometimes
okay.
we've come a long way.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
And it's a real tribute to the people of Ireland, as Bernard said, I think, to facilitate this change.
Yeah.
For generations that are older than us and older generations, to give them the possibility, even if it may never happen for them. I think many of our friends where this may not be possible because they've had so much pain and hurt in their lives. The damage has been done. And then we've got this whole opportunity for younger generations coming through where there is no difference. This is a really ordinary event. Two people
who love each other
making a public statement to say, come along and have a good time and enjoy our lives with us. What's so extraordinary about it? I'm wishing for the day when that is not extraordinary. It's something that is not given any attention. Just one amongst many.
It's no longer a talking point.
It's no longer a talking point.
Yeah. And Bernard, I just wanted, I know, Bernard, you wanted to say that one of your important messages is that people can have a relationship, Bruntonus, but also people can have a relationship with God and be gay. That's very important. But tell us very quickly about Bruntonus.
Yeah, that is important. I mean, that I think, you know, you don't have to be churched in order to be in love with God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important for especially gay people to know.
Well, he's supposed to love us all equally, isn't he? Or she is supposed to love us all equally.
He, she, whatever.
We are loved equally.
And to try and follow the gospel of Christ in whatever way. Bruntonus is an organisation that Billy and I have set up to help with the mental well-being of LGBT people, especially young people whom I understand from statistics here struggle particularly in schools around their sexual identity in rural areas. That there's a whole vacuum. It's not that, you know, good things haven't happened. Wonderful things have happened in light of the referendum. But still in school, it's the epithet that is most derogatory.
We'll put all the details up on our webpage. And we could
This-
chat to you all day, guys, but we have to go, unfortunately. But congratulations.
Thank you very
Incredible
much.
story and an incredible love, clearly.
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
In the immortal words of Mr. Spock, live long and prosper.
Thank you very much.
Don't do the hand thing. Let's take the
Actually,
I can do it. Let's take the news now with Siobhan. Let's take the news with Siobhan Bastable.